Well, after the first 5 days, we've got a little bit accomplished. It's been a little warm. Our guys have worked their way through it. The main thing we've tried to do for the first 5 days is make sure we got all the young guys in the right positions. And it looks pretty good. We've got a good group, athletic group of linemen and skilled players. Our quarterback is exactly what we thought. Very strong arm, very active, elusive, got a lot to learn. Our kicker, Wesley Byram, is exactly what we thought. Very strong leg, raw, got a lot of room for improvement, and we're going to throw him into the mix and see what happens in the next few weeks. But that's what we've done the last few days. Today's the first day of pads, full pads. Had a little contact, not a whole lot. We don't do anything from the waist down. Everything's from the waist up, and we try to teach as much technique as we possibly can, full speed without putting guys on the ground. We've got a long ways to go in the next 3 weeks and get to the point where we feel like this team's ready to go. But you have to have a lot of contact, and we do a lot, but we want to keep it to the point where we've got most of our guys out there. Carl Stewart really is the only guy. He and Ricks are the two guys that have really been shut down a little bit in terms of injuries, both hamstrings, and hopefully they'll be back in the near future. Today Bosley was back, practiced for the first time. We didn't have but one fumbled snap, which was good to see. We've worked very hard on just a very small part of our offense and defense. We're going to be very athletic on defense. We know that, but the thing that we're trying to do right now is teach fundamentals to all the guys, starting from the top guys, from Quentin Groves on down, and on the offense, the same thing. Get back to basics for a few days before we start scrimmaging, which the first one will be this Saturday. Two-a-days start tomorrow. A little different than what we used to have in two-a-days. One full pads and one just what we call shell, shoulder pads and helmets. The biggest thing we've got to do in the next 10 days is spend a lot of time in the film room, keep learning what we're learning, and bring everybody to a certain level and try to get to the first game to the point where we feel like everybody can compete that we put out on the field, that understands what we're doing. You know, we're trying to build a team concept in this month, and that's it's going along pretty good. But the tension is good, intensity is good. I like the attitude of the team. You never know what kind of team you're going to have until you really get going, put the pressure on. But I like the emotions of this team, leadership. We've got guys stepping up, and of course, as two-a-days goes, you'll find more about your leadership. The area that we're all concerned about is our kicking game. Kicking game is really looking good, making an improvement every day. Our punters got off a slow start the first day, but as of today, they're much better. Their hang time's a lot better. We've got a new addition in Patrick Tatum, a young man from Sylvania, Alabama, a walk-on, and I think he's got a chance to add a little pressure to Ryan Shoemaker, and Ryan and him will compete for the next 3 weeks for the right to be the starting punter here, and it could change as we go through the next few weeks, and it could change during the year, but we've got to have some consistency there. And again, neither one have really punted in a college game, so there's not a lot to evaluate there until you get going in scrimmages and see what happens. Our kickers are doing good. We've got 4 guys that are really stepping up. We're putting pressure on them every day in practice. We're kicking more in practice in terms of field goals and a little bit of a rush. More team field goals, and I think that's going to help us, but we've got to do a lot of that for the next few weeks. Our kickoff guys, we're just now starting our kickoff coverage, but I like the strength of the legs. Wesley Byram right now is the guy that's ahead of the other guys in kickoffs. He gets more hang time, a little bit more depth, but that could change as we go too. Overall, again, I like what our coaches are doing. We're practicing a lot of players. We're not just practicing the guys who are going to play a month from now. We know what they can do. This is basically a spring practice for the younger guys until we get to this point next week when two-a-days are almost finished up, and then we'll start putting guys in positions to where they can either help on scout teams and start getting some semblance of a team on both offense, defense, first, second team, and then also kicking game. Questions from the audience?
Coach, you said Byram's ahead on the kickoffs. What about field goals?
It's pretty much even. We hadn't got to the point yet where all of them are getting a lot of reps, but we're not evaluating them right now. We're just trying to get them to the point where they're working on their technique. And I want to kick a few longer ones before we start making any evaluation on them. But I like all four of them. They look like they've worked hard this summer and a little bit more consistent than we were last year.
Byram is kind of pretty confident for a true freshman coming in. Is that an important part of the equation for a kicker?
Yeah, you got to have confidence in what you're doing. He's raw. We got very strong leg. He's tall. He's got good leverage on the ball. He could punt. He could kick off. He could be our field goal guy. You know, we're not letting him punt that much because he's got a lot to concentrate on. But as we go through time, he'll be thrown into the mix punting. But he's got what it takes. You know, and you need to have a little bit of a swagger. Being a freshman with swagger is a little bit different. But you know, when it comes to kickers, those guys they need to have confidence in what they've done and you know what they can do. But by no means is our technique what it needs to be in anything that we're doing. And we're working on that every day and filming all their sessions and going over it with them, trying to get their technique down before we feel like they can really excel in what they're doing.
Coach, talk about the battle of the offensive line, especially right tackle.
Right tackle is going to be interesting. Today and yesterday, Oscar Gonzalez was going with the first team on the right tackle spot. We moved him from left side over. Andrew McCain obviously started there, along with Daniels. I think that it's going to be right tackle by committee for the next couple of weeks. Coach Nall is really putting them through it technique-wise and putting a lot of pressure on them. Quentin Groves is a guy that we're putting over to the right side, to the left side of the defense, right side of the offensive line. We want to find out one that can compete against him. You know, if you can block Quentin coming off the corner, you're going to have a pretty good offensive lineman. And so we're giving Quentin full responsibility for training that right offensive tackle. And he's doing a pretty good job of schooling early. But I think these guys are competing. They got a lot of room for fundamentals to kick in. But the offensive line is going to be a big battle. And, you know, Jason Bosley back today was good. It was enabled us to put Leon Hart back to right guard and Terrell Green to left tackle. And, of course, I think that King Dunlap's having one of his better camps. He's working at it. He's been more of a leader, which he needs to be. And then we've got a lot of young guys. Ryan Pugh is the backup center as we speak, true freshman. He's really done well. He's a competitor. He's a leader. And mentally, he's as far along as I thought, you know, some of the other guys would be, some of the upperclassmen, but he's really done a good job. And so Ryan right now is working with the number 2 guys, and hopefully he can stay healthy enough to continue to learn, go all the way through 2-a-days and be a guy that could be our backup center. Again, we wouldn't play him unless we, you know, came to the point where we just had to, because we normally just play one center. But we'll get him ready as our number 2 guy, along with probably Leon Hart being a guy that would play a few snaps in the game if we needed him, or maybe somebody else.
Do you see Mike Berry sort of working at different spots throughout?
Yeah, you know, we want to look really at Mike playing right guard more, concentrating on that. He hadn't played a lot, and we don't want to overload him too much. He and Leon, when it comes down to it, are going to battle for the starting position at right guard. I'd say not this first scrimmage. That's going to be more younger guys. They will get some snaps and looks, but the big scrimmage for those two will be the second one, which will be in 2 weeks. You know, for upperclassmen, I want to get a better look at some of the younger guys in this scrimmage coming up. But that's going to be a battle on that side. You know, Chaz Ramsey, you know, talking about true freshmen, I think Chaz Ramsey is going to have an opportunity to maybe work his way up at the left guard position. He's working hard there and looking pretty good. Again, he's mentally, you know, farther along than what I thought he'd be, and he's got the talent to do it. And then, of course, Lee Zimba at right tackle. I didn't mention him a while ago. He's in the mix, but his head's spinning right now. And these next 2 scrimmages will tell a lot about, you know, what he knows and what he can do as we go through these next 3 or 4 weeks.